From the Casey State Bank Digital First Studio at WTWO, this is the Goin to the Hoop podcast. Sponsored by Terre Haute Chevrolet, Indiana State University, and Kirshner Building Centers.
Welcome to our Going to the Hoop podcast this week. It is a special week. State Championship Week is upon us. We are just a couple of days away from the State Championship games happening at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indy on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. With Jack Burney, Nicole Christina, I am Grant Pugh. Guys, welcome to State Championship Week. We've got a big game to talk about.
We sure do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get right to it. Hats off to the Linton Miners for winning the semi-state championship. First time since 2019. They get it done against Brownstown Central. Things got tight.
Yeah.
They got it down to 2 with a minute to go, but then they hit Joey Hart for the and 1 at Southport, and Linton wins the semi-state championship. In 2A, they are playing Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian Saturday in the 2A state championship game. Jack, you were a big part of Regional Saturday, semi-state Saturday. Your thoughts as we were kind of all following the Miners' big win against Brownstown Central and Jack Benter.
Great performance for Linton. Obviously, I think Logan Webb was the player of those two games. I think he had 28 points in the second game. He was the best player on the floor. And obviously, Joey Hart and Jack Benter, like you said, two D1 players, but Logan Webb kind of stole the show. But Linton played their game in both games against Park Heritage and against Brownstown Central. And I think just, staying who they were in those two games, not letting the moment get too big was a big reason why they were able to move on.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing about Linton in general is, there are several players who could have a big game or at least contribute in big ways. Usually it is like Joey or Logan that really step in and have the more of the points. But, Coach Hart told us when he came on the podcast, a month ago or so, that, Braden Walters, if there isn't a play drawn up for him, he's not going to typically shoot, but he's an incredible defender. And when he does shoot, he's pretty solid too. And, but, just such an asset on defense. And then, of course, the rest of the guys, some of the younger guys too, that just contribute. Awesome to see Logan have those games. We really want him to find some success and maybe get some offers that, should be going his way, just like they came to other players. But it's good to know that coming up on Saturday, it's anybody's game. There's so many that Logan could step up again. Joey could have a great game. Braden can contribute, and then, of course, all the younger kids going in there. Nathan Frady and Wrigley, of course, two of the other, core players. So you just got a whole lineup that you can run through and say, hey, we need you to step in. We need you to step in. Paul, you're a freshman. We don't care. You need to step in, and it's just exciting to watch. So good, great for Logan. But it's also just a testament to that minor core of just 5, 6, 7 guys that can step in.
Not many teams have a point guard that's 6'5",
right?
You talk about Braden, and that Braden's block on Jack Benter really set
yeah.
the tone in the second half, a big block there. And the Miners moving on, we have to talk about, we were hoping to have 3 teams in the state championship this weekend, that being, of course, either Bloomfield or Lagodi. Lagodi made it to semi-state, and then in North Davies, Lagodi coming up so close, losing a heartbreaker to hatch it off. Hats off to Peyton Bledsoe and company for a great season.
Great season for Lagodi. They were in control of that game, but it was just a furious comeback from Indy Lutheran. I think Lagodi was up 11 with 4 minutes left, so that's a heartbreaking loss. Obviously, Isaac Eagle missed a free throw there down 1 that would have tied it, but Peyton Bledsoe, hats off to him for a great career and great season for Lagodi. First time they've been to semi-state since 2012, so they're building something there in Lagodi. Coach Haywood, I got to talk to him throughout regionals, sectionals, and semi-state. He was excited about the talent they have there now and coming up in the future, so I think it's a good first step for Lagodi, and hopefully they can go back there for years to come.
North Davies, Jalen Mullen, hats off to a great career. I mean, it comes down to free throws, too. Heartbreaking for them to lose, but think of all they've accomplished. I mean, they won the state championship last year, and then coming so close to going back to Indy this year for the state championship.
Oh, yeah, and there's one thing about the Cougars. We talked about it, I think, just last week, that confidence that they have. They know, who they are, and that really takes them far in any matchup that they find themselves in. Of course, like you said, it's got to come down to some of the fundamentals, and if you can't knock those down, then it's not going to go your way. But, first year in 3A, almost making it to Indy, nothing to really hang your hat on. Obviously, it's a hard loss, and you want to get all the way, and you want to have that, ring at the end of it. But such a great first season in 3A, and they've really left their mark. And, I can't wait to see what either them or Lagodi are able to do in the future. I totally agree with you. Lagodi building something that we haven't seen in a few years there that I think is going to stay steady in future years. Anytime they beat their rival Bar Reeve, and, able to conquer them and stuff. And I do think having home court advantage helped them a little bit too. But two really solid programs. Wish we were still talking about them competing.
Hats off to them and everyone. Thanks for a great high school basketball
Yeah.
season. It's going to culminate with a state championship game on Saturday. Speaking of the state championship game Saturday, he is the head coach of the Linton Miners. Noah Hawkins will join us, our special guest, when Going to the Hoop podcast rolls along right after these great plays of the week. Welcome back to our Going to the Hoop podcast. It is state championship week. We have a Linton Miners team that is seeking the first state championship in boys high school basketball Saturday afternoon. A big-time matchup with Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian. We are happy to be joined via a special bunker location by the Linton head coach Noah Hawkins as his team is getting ready for the state finals. Coach Hawkins, thanks for joining us this week.
Yes, sir. Busy week. I'm glad we could do it.
Well, let's get right to it. How has this week kind of progressed? You know, you certainly had media obligations Monday, going to Indy. You guys are going to practice in Indy later this week. How do you kind of juggle? I mean, you have a lot of veteran guys. They know what to expect from practice. But how do you kind of juggle everything that comes with the state finals week?
I told a lot of people that, I kind of repeat that. I feel like I'm repeating myself when I say that. But I have been very blessed. I haven't had to deal with a whole lot of the logistical pieces. We have a coaching staff that just takes care of. And we have one guy who does nothing but handle food, and the dinners, the breakfast, the lunch, the snacks. It all just keeps coming. We got a guy who takes care of that. We got a guy who takes care of all the uniforms and all that good stuff. Practice locations, where we practice this week has been juggling that as well. Our school hosted a band concert or something last night. So Nate O'Neill, the crew over at WRV, White River Valley, was nice enough to let us practice there. So we got that going on. Tonight was actually normal. Tonight we got to practice at home. Kids got to stick around, go to bed hopefully a little bit earlier tonight. Tomorrow we practice in Indy, come back, practice again here at Linton, and then Friday we practice up in Indy again.
Take us through last weekend in those two matchups, and at what point did you all think to yourselves, I mean, you guys were really dominant in both games, but at what point did you think to yourselves, okay, we're heading to Indy next weekend, and really let yourself soak that in? Was it at the end, or was it, at any point during the matchups?
Well, I mean, obviously Park Heritage played great. I mean, we knew they could shoot it. You kind of had the feeling going in that, hey, if they pass it too many times, they're going to turn it over. And that's not a knock on them. I think that speaks more to our defense. But they shot it very well, and we still we won handily. So felt good coming out of that game. The night game, we knew it was going to be a battle. We knew it was going to be a war. Was a little bit surprised to kind of get the gap that we had, but at the same time, we talked about it. From the moment the first game ended, until, through halftime, even of that second game, it's like they're going to make a run. They're very good. They got a lot of pieces. They can shoot it. They're going to make a run. That run happened a little bit later than what we expected. I wouldn't say we felt comfortable until it was over. Somebody asked me when I started to get nervous, if I started to get nervous there about the 2-minute mark, and I said I started to get nervous, as soon as that Park Heritage game ended. Just Brown sounds really good. So there was no comfort really until that horn, finally went off. When Logan flipped over, you kind of hold your breath there for a second.
Right.
I would say I exhaled when Logan rolled over and smiled and made a smart remark when he was laying there on the floor that I'm not going to repeat now. But when Logan is okay, that's probably when I exhaled the most.
Coach, just talk a little bit about the opportunity on Saturday. Obviously, this has been something you guys have been working towards all season long. This has been the goal all season long. To know it's so close, the team's got to be pretty excited to, finally get that chance to try and bring home the first state championship.
I hope in third time's a charm. I mean, third time we've been here. 2013 Bowman Academy was a different beast. Bowman had a guy who was on SportsCenter top 10 on a weekly basis for the next 2 or 3 years, and tons of athletes all over the place. 2019 really felt like that one slipped away. Had a nice lead there in the fourth quarter, turned it over a little bit. The seniors on this team were eighth graders then, so they saw it firsthand. They remember it very well. So, obviously we're hoping, that experience and those kids watching that, us having been there several times now, hope we get a blue ring.
You get to see when you talk to this team that they know how special this opportunity is, and like you kind of said, they have a chance to kind of right some wrongs from 13, from 19, and maybe a 20 team that would have made a run. They understand how special this opportunity is. That's got to be fulfilling and rewarding as a coach when your team already knows what's at stake. Certainly on Saturday, I feel like they're all business this week.
They are. They've said from the beginning of the year, blue ring or bust. And, those are lofty expectations. And there are other things along the way. There are other steps, other goals you want to accomplish. You hear blue ring or bust, and it sounds great, but, man, that's a lot of pressure. There's a difference in winning. Sometimes you win when you're the underdog, and it's joy, it's elation. But right now when you're expected to win, it's more of a sigh of relief. Obviously, there's still tons of joy with it. But they kind of set the bar high when the season started. And they're stepping up to the plate. They're meeting the challenge. So it's fun just to watch them. It's fun to. They've got a ton of experience, a lot of big game experience. They're not going to get in a situation where the lights are too bright for them. So they're ready for it.
And speaking of the 13 and 19 teams, who have you heard from this week from those? We know we got quite a few characters, personalities that I know. Maybe even want to take a little bit of claim in the fact that this team this year has gotten as far as they have. So who have you been hearing from, and what's the message from those teams that just got so close for this 2023 team?
There's definitely characters on those teams. The 13 team has a lot of characters. In fact, our local sports guy, Nathan Pace, put out an article today. This is the 10-year anniversary of the 2013 team state run. We actually had all those guys in. I think everybody but one guy from that team was able to make it in. The other guy was in Texas, right? So, he couldn't get here. But those guys are very basketball knowledgeable. They know what's going on, and they like to, make digs at each other and say which team is better, which team, who would win a matchup. But I think when it comes down to it, the guys on that 13 team kind of took a step back, and they're like, this team would kill us. These guys are really good. But it's fun to see that banter. This program really grew under Coach Hart. There's absolutely no denying that. You're not going to get away from that. What he did, from 2010 until now, you look at the run that this program's had from 2013 until now, 9 sectionals in 11 years is something else. But at the same time, a lot of good camaraderie comes along with it. We get a lot of fun guys from all the teams, But I've heard from a bunch of them. I've heard, Austin Carazzi, I was just texting him last night. He's been pretty involved. His dad, Charlie Carazzi, is the AD. I hear from him all the time as well. So it's fun to have a lot of support like that.
Coach, obviously we don't want you to give away your game plan for Saturday, but you got a tough opponent. Just what are some things generally you think you guys need to do well to give yourselves the best chance to win?
Defensive rebound the basketball. We have to clean up the glass. They're big. They got a 6'9" kid. 6'9" kid shoots 42% from three, and he's not their post player. Their post player, 6'6". He's I compare him to Tyler Hansborough. Maybe I'm showing my age. Tyler Hansborough played years ago, but Psycho T played for the Pacers, played for North Carolina. But the first kid, 6'6", his brother starts for Purdue. His brother's 6'9", but the 6'6" kid plays like he's 6'9". He's strong, he's athletic, he's aggressive. He looks to score. He runs the floor. They've got a guard up top who's averaging about 17 a game, crashes the glass. They got another guard they list him at 6'3". He might be 6'3". Doesn't look to score as much, but again, he crashes the glass hard. So we're definitely going to have to take care of the defensive backboard.
Coach, let's get in your head a little bit. I know you don't have to say too much to these guys, but you're going to get down to the wire. What's maybe one or two things you're going to tell your guys Saturday afternoon before they take the floor for a big special state championship game?
Be who we are. We're not going to change up a lot. They are a good defensive team. So, we've talked about we've got to be prepared to adjust to what they come out and what they throw at us. With that being said, these guys are very good at what they do, and we're not gonna try to reinvent the wheel. We're going to dance with who got us here, offensively and defensively.
Coach, we can't wait for Saturday. I know you're a busy guy. Thanks for taking some time to join us on this week's Going to the Hoop podcast. We'll certainly be there this weekend. Best of luck.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We're back with more Going to the Hoop podcast right after this. Welcome back to our Going to the Hoop podcast. Special thanks to Noah Hawkins, Lynn Coach, for joining us on a busy week for the Miners. They're going to practice in Indy later this week. Of course, have a big send-off Friday, then the state championship game. If you haven't gotten your ticket, 12:45 Saturday afternoon. I know for a fact that the GOAT, Tom McClanahan, will be there in attendance. I've spoken to him this week. He was at semi-state last weekend. Tommy Mack's going to be there, probably yelling at an official, but that's the way we want it to be. Guys, we have to close with college basketball. Start with the Sycamores. They get a big win to open up the CBI on Saturday. They lose a tough one on Monday to Eastern Kentucky, but 23 wins, the most wins since the Larry Bird era. That's pretty special, just second year for Coach Schertz.
Oh, absolutely. And we've been saying it for the last couple weeks in this podcast. Coach Schertz is building something. I think it was a great opportunity for them to, those seniors to put on that jersey one last time, even though they didn't win the CBI like the goal was, but I think they still put up two good performances. I know they lost to Eastern Kentucky, but Eastern Kentucky's on a little bit of a run now. They just won in the semis, so they're playing in the championship of the CBI, but great season for ISU, something to build on certainly. Good for not only the seniors, but the returning players to get that experience playing in a tournament like that, because obviously they have aspirations to make March Madness and that sort of thing in the years to come.
Yeah, I think it's only up from here for the Sycamores. I know they're losing some key players, but I'm excited to see who is possible transfer in, like Voss. I think that they've got some potential there. I'm excited to see, just continued growth from the younger kids like Robbie. I just think it's only up from here. And Coach Schertz, it's just so much fun to watch him build this program. Such a great guy. He cares so much about just the community too. From when we had him on the podcast, you could really feel that he has made Terre Haute his home in a short amount of time, and he cares about it. And he really wants to do this not only for his guys and for obviously, his own success, but also so that Terre Haute and the local community can really continue to believe in this program. And hats off to them for 23 wins. Can't wait to see for next season what it's like.
Time to carry this momentum over to softball, to baseball.
Yeah.
Spring football practice starts next week.
Yes.
Hope ISU keeps this momentum going. They have a good core, as you said, to come back next year. Julian Larry, Robbie, hopefully Jason Kent, Jabo. Let's see what ISU and Coach Schertz does next year. We have a bet to settle. 2 teams played basketball on Friday.
Yes,
one team won, one team did not win. So I'm just going to let you guys take the floor from here.
Well, I want to say two things, actually. I forgot my IU gear. So Jack, he got off easy this week, but he's going to have to wear it eventually. But I will also say, very classy, he immediately sent me a message on Twitter saying, I'm rooting for IU the rest of the way. Obviously that was not very long that he had to do that, but it was classy. I appreciated it. I look forward to our future bets. But I did win.
Yes,
and
you
I
did.
loved that.
IU won. Trace Jackson Davis blocked all
Monster.
my hopes and dreams as a Kent State grad, but still a great season for my alma mater, Kent State. Nothing to hang their hat on. First NCAA tournament appearance since 2017, so good season for them. Good season for IU as well. Great win on Friday night. Obviously, not the ending IU wanted on Sunday against Miami. We'll get to that, but congratulations to you, Nicole,
Thank you.
for getting the best of me and for the first
you.
of maybe some of our
I feel
many
like
bets.
there's a
I
good-
feel like we got Browns, Steelers.
I was just about to say, there's
even
more coming.
Guardians, Cubs, 2016 World Series. It's kind of we're opposites.
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of
And in
sports
that one,
fandom.
you're going to have me and Grant, so it's going to be double
true.
on
I
there.
know.
Yeah, you're going to have. So, we've got plenty to go. I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch, though. It was a good game. Kent State played really well. That just.
It's
Trace
just
Jackson,
it's Big Ten versus MAC.
Yeah, and Trace Jackson Davis is a monster. We're gonna
wasn't
miss
losing
him
that
so
game.
much. I mean, it's just huge.
He said, the great soundbite that he said, after the game about, he remembers they were booed on the floor at Indy.
know.
And then look at them now. They laid the foundation. You hope they continue this momentum and keep things going.
Yeah, and I mean, what can you say about Miami? They beat the men's team, then they beat the women's team.
Heartbreaking.
I mean, I don't know if another program other than Purdue has ever made IU fans that mad that quickly. I now have a program that I'm rooting against really hard.
Even
in the
Reggie Wayne
future.
was getting hate tweets, I think. Did you see Reggie Wayne was at the game Monday? And
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're a Hoosier guy, right? You're supposed to be at least. But no, I mean, sad end of the season for the Hoosiers. But, it was just so wonderful on Friday not only to win, but to see Purdue lose.
See tears of... We even saw some tears of sadness. We
We
would never
saw
root for anyone to lose. but
Literal tears.
we saw some
Yeah.
tears. We saw some joy. Heck, I wanted to cry when Tennessee beat Duke on Saturday.
Yeah.
We'll see how they do the rest of the Sweet 16, which starts on Thursday. But that's what college basketball does. It's gut-wrenching because it's a one game. Anything can happen, and then your season is over just like that.
I know that's why the March Madness is the best. Any team can be beaten on any day, and we saw that obviously with Purdue and IU. But I think Miami's a good team.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people picked Drake over Miami, but there were a lot of questions around Miami's health, but they were healthy. All their guys were playing, and I think they got a chance to make some noise even against Houston. We'll see, but Purdue, obviously, I think it's a little bit more of a tougher loss. You had Zach Edey, probably the National Player of the Year. You had legitimate aspirations to make your first Final Four since 1980, and you look at what's happened around that region. The number 2 seed is out, so there's a path for Purdue, but obviously they didn't get it done as FDU beat them, plain and simple.
Yeah.
I know Purdue feels like maybe that they made some mistakes, but FDU came in with a game plan. They executed it. They let Zach Edey get his, but they shut down everybody else, and that's kind of why Purdue came up short.
Well, let's hope Zach Edey comes back next year. As college basketball fans, it'd be great for college basketball.
Great,
He comes back. Purdue brings everyone back. Hope IU reloads. Some final thoughts from you guys as we close a basketball podcast and get ready for the state finals on Saturday?
Well, obviously rooting for the Miners. You know, we've been
Absolutely.
talking about them all season, how dynamic they are, and they've proven it. So rooting really hard for them this weekend, and just hoping to, you know, have my bracket not completely ruined by
Yeah.
the end of the weekend either. But I don't know. How are your brackets doing?
I got 3 of my final 4 still alive.
That's nice.
So we're all right.
Yeah.
Bad. Yeah, I have UCLA in one bracket and Zaga in the other, so they play each other. So they're gonna
Yeah.
There you go.
eliminate each
but
other.
hopefully you get one.
It should
there,
be a great
right?
Yeah,
game.
yeah, I've got Bama and Zaga, so things
Yeah.
are not terrible around
we
here.
go.
It's just, you know, mourning the loss of our teams. But Tennessee,
Tennessee's still
Yeah, go
alive.
Vols,
Tyreek
right?
Key in the
Yeah.
Sweet 16, Madison Square Garden.
Great
We'll
for
see.
him.
They have FAU. FAU is coached, fun fact, by an Eastern Green grad. I don't know if you guys saw that this week. Dusty
Oh,
May.
yes, that's
who
right.
coaches
Yes, yes, yes,
FAU,
yes, yes.
is an Eastern Green grad. So best of luck to the Owls and
Yeah.
the Vols and everyone else as we follow the brackets. We'll know the Final Four next week. Hey, thanks for watching our Going to the Hoop podcast. For Luke Knight, Nicole Christine, Jack Burney, I'm Grant Pugh. We will see you next time. Best of luck to the Miners.
Miners.
We'll be rolling this weekend.